I'll say technology.
Yeah.
And listen, of course, obviously, I'm still active. I'm still active police officer. I'm still doing the job.
Yep.
And I always want to be careful on the words I use and the things I say.
Yep.
However, it's very important and for me to also remain true to who I am.
Sure.
Okay. And when we talk about 21st century policing and legitimacy, and we talk about transparency, we have to be able to say, you know what, these are things that we needed to do better. These are things that we weren't doing well. And maybe some of these things is what has us here in this position.
Yeah.
I think that officers, our profession is very difficult.
Very.
And I do say that overwhelming amount of officers do the job honorably.
Yeah.
But sometimes some of us, we get off track. I will say I think that when I talk about technology, the mere fact that these things that you have here, these cameras and all these different things are now capturing different things, I think that made a difference, right? Because it obviously, like you just said, it was a VHS. 91, Rodney King.
Yeah.
I remember that. I mean, the Joker was across the street, with a camera. I mean, that was unheard of, capturing that. And I can tell you with certainty that wasn't the first time that happened.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
That one, and if you really want me to get deep, on this stuff, we can start going back toward slavery and the civil rights movement and different things like that, specifically here in the South, where law enforcement was complicit in some of these things that were going on. Let's talk about Emmett Till, and we're not that far from Emmett Till in Money, Mississippi. A 14-year-old kid who comes down to Mississippi from Chicago, and we all know that story. And there's law enforcement that was actually even, complicit in what happened and in the trials and all of these different things. So much to the point when you also talk about that, I mean, like Emmett Till legitimately has family members who are still alive. We're like 60 years, 50 years separated from that. And if you go to Money, Mississippi, there's police commanders and lieutenants who aren't even familiar with what happened in their own city.
Whoa.
So you say these things, and I say these things because those things matter, like that generational trauma and things like that. It does matter. So I know I kind of got off a little bit, but
sure,
it's just like, I mean, I just think that we do have to acknowledge that things have happened. Mm-hmm. Our goal is to get better. Mm-hmm. Okay, now I'm not, and I mentioned slavery. As a black man, I am not saying to you, you should feel guilty. You should feel bad. You should apologize to me with what your ancestors may have done. No one's saying that.
Yeah.
But what people are saying is that, hey, just acknowledge, just understand that there's still trauma there.
Yeah.
Like just like your grandparents talk to you at the dinner tables and things get passed on. You hear stories.
Yeah.
You think the same things there. People hear stories. So just saying, just take the 20 seconds. One of my mentors, Q Williams, says, just give people their 20 seconds. Yeah. Just take the time just to listen and to talk.